Hey guys!
Arms!
So we have a pretty fun video for you today. We were tagged basically a year ago to do this tag. It's the Harry Potter movie tag. We were tagged by AbbieLooWho. And we're probably gonna do the tag because you know what? We felt like it, so.
So we really kind of like Harry Potter.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. That's the wrong thing. First question. What is your favorite movie? Oh, that would be Deathly Hallows Part 1 for me.
Ooh.
Because everything just fits so perfectly together. And it was kind of fun to get away from Hogwarts a little bit. I mean, some people don't really like that part in the books, but I really enjoyed how they put it into a movie.
You like the camping?
I do like the
Into
camping.
the camping. Well, mine is Prisoner of Azkaban. Just because it was very well done.
Surprise,
In a few
surprise.
different regards, but not all of them. It was also my favorite book. I've probably read the book about 20 times, so I've also seen the movie a lot. I could probably recite it to you.
2. What is your least favorite movie?
Oh, we're doing this again?
My least favorite movie is Goblet of Fire, and that's not to say that I absolutely hate it in any means. It's just I've never really been a huge fan of the Goblet of Fire book, and so I was never a huge fan of the movie. I don't know. It kind of makes me a little uncomfortable with certain characters in the book. I don't know, it's just kind of weird. It has a different vibe to me than the other ones, and even though I still love it, it's just my least favorite.
Also the hair.
Yeah, the hair for the movie. Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
My least favorite was Order of the Phoenix, because it was too short. For a nearly 800-page book, it was the shortest film. And I think that there's something to be said for that. That it was bad!
Number 3, which movie do you feel is most like the corresponding book? And that's probably either Sorcerer's Stone or Deathly Hallows Part 1 for me, just because Sorcerer's Stone was so simple, and yeah, there were some differences, but it was nothing that, really upset me. And then DH Part 1, because they did split the movie in 2, they had a lot more time to make everything like it was.
I said Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets because I felt that Chris Columbus did a really good job of keeping everything accurate. Because they were younger then.
What movie do you feel is least like the corresponding book? Order of the Phoenix, just because so many things were different because of them squishing everything into the shortest time. They had to leave out a lot of stuff, yep. And they had to just move things around and, nothing like the book in that sense.
Swiftly following on the coattails of Order of the Phoenix was Half-Blood Prince, which was a great film, but textually completely inaccurate. Who's Harry Potter? I don't know. The guy on the front of the paper whose face looks like the person reading the paper in the train station. This was funny.
What disappointed you about the movies? Probably going back once again to the fact that Order of the Phoenix was the longest book and the shortest movie. Like, come on. It was shorter than Sorcerer's Stone. And differences.
The inclusion of key plot points from the very beginning was something that no one thought about. I know that J.K. Rowling was still writing the books at the time when they were producing the films,
yeah.
Which is fine, but I honestly think that before they went into this venture, they should have sat down and they should have had a big discussion and they should have been like, look,
She's touching my leg right now,
we need
by
to
the way.
know some things before we go through with this so we don't screw things up down the line. And look what they did. They ruined it.
It's a big statement. They ruined it.
Okay, maybe not ruined. Maybe that's a little harsh.
Yeah. There were certain parts that got a little messed up because they...
Creature!
Yeah. What is your absolute favorite scene from the movies?
I had 3.
I have 2, but they're in the same area. Mine is in the 5th movie, in Order of the Phoenix, when they're in the Ministry, and they're in the room with all of the prophecies, and Ginny does the reducto thing, and all of them come shattering down. That's awesome. I look forward to that.
Known.
And then also the following scene with Voldemort and Dumbledore and their battle, just because they're so advanced and their magic is really cool, and they don't actually say any words. They can just manipulate the magic themselves. And the sound effects too. Of the water is by your head. Especially when you were in the theater and it was all the surround
and it goes
sounds.
silent and then all of a sudden you hear things.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's interesting that we don't like Order of the Phoenix. We both picked favorite scenes from Order of the Phoenix. I chose Fred and George escaping exams with all of the fireworks that go off. Mm-hmm. That was pretty great. The score for Order of the Phoenix was pretty great. And that song is pretty excellent.
The song that they play during the fireworks song.
Yeah. I also really enjoy the troll scene with Quirrell in the first film, and the first shot of the Great Hall that you see after, when they go to be sorted. Yeah, exactly. It's pretty memorable, man.
Did you go to any of the midnight premieres? If so, which ones? Yes. The one that we definitely went to together was Deathly Hallows Part 2 because it did come out in July.
And we were in the same place.
So we did go to that one together with some other people. And I'm sure I went to see other ones at the midnight premiere, but I know it wasn't Part 1 because Part 1 came out when I was in school, like in university, so I wouldn't have been there at that point, like at the theater. But the ones that came out in July, so like Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince.
Pretty sure that I did everything from 5 onward.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever dressed as one of the Harry Potter characters? Oh, yes.
Yeah. For Halloween, I went as both Harry and Hermione in one night. I literally stopped back at my house, threw on, like, a bald cap over my hair, and put on a hat and the glasses, and then stopped being Hermione. I used to have hair, by the way.
That was a lot like Hermione's,
I have a lot of really, really big curly hair.
I've most recently dressed as Luna for the Halloween last year, and then before that I played Ginny, and then when I was really young, like even before the 5th book came out, I used to play Harry Potter in my friend's basement, and I was both Hermione and Cho at different points in playing that, because there was too many girls and not enough girl characters. Luna wasn't introduced yet, so that was interesting, yeah.
You hate Cho.
I do hate Cho. Which actor do you feel was a good choice for the character that they played?
A lot of them were good choices.
Yeah, like all of the adult characters that were cast were perfect because they did have certain, like, they had a resume already.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Everybody knew how they were
You
gonna
knew who
be.
to look for. Specifically Alan Rickman.
Yes, because just the terror that he strikes in one's heart. And, you know.
He has a very somber face. He can induce a lot of fear. Exactly. I also wanted to mention the brilliance of Dame Maggie Smith, who plays probably the best Minerva McGonagall that you could find anywhere. Not that anyone else has ever tried.
Yeah.
But.
And when we think about the Golden Trio, like, all of them were well cast too. Just because of this one instance where it was in the extra features of the 3rd movie, right? And they had, Alfonso wanted them all to write, like, essays about their characters and stuff, and Rupert didn't even end up doing it. Diane handed in about 3 pages.
And then Emma turned in 16.
Yeah, so they, you know, they definitely embody a certain aspect of their characters. Which actor do you feel was not well cast for their character? We felt the same on this one. We talked about it for about 5 minutes to sort of figure out what the dealio was, but that would have to be Lavender Brown, Half-Blood Prince, played by Jessie Cave.
No disrespect to Jessie Cave.
It's not her problem, it's
the fact that she's not right for the role.
And the fact that she was a black girl.
They cast someone of a different ethnicity for the first 2 films, and then they traded.
We looked this up. I was always under the impression that she was a person of color. And then...
Even in the books.
Even in the books. Like, I always read her as a person of color. There was specific people who were tagged as having been cast as Lavender Brown. It's on IMDb. And they were always a person of color. And then all of a sudden we get to the 6th movie, and Lavender Brown is this white girl with big, flowy, golden hair. And I was like... Yeah. Wait a minute.
Not the same.
Did I miss something there? Yeah, so that, it's not that she wasn't good at acting the character.
She had all of the character traits.
Yeah, she just, it wasn't there was a weird continuation, and the fact that they whitewashed the character.
No continuity!
Which director do you think did the best? We're both the same on this one, right?
We had to talk about what the best really meant. What did we decide?
And sort of setting up the world and really making us love it, we went with Chris Columbus, just because he had to start from nothing. I mean,
Got the ball rolling.
There was books, obviously, but in terms of turning that book into a movie and designing sets and getting the right people involved, just, yeah, he did an excellent job with that. And Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets are great movies. They're definitely the, like, simplest of them. You know, they're very sweet. They're for younger kids.
But so are 1 and 2 in terms of the books.
Yeah, exactly. And so it fit really well, and we have to thank him for setting up the world and then having everybody else build off of him.
And I think, in an add-on to that, also John Williams. John Williams and the score for the first 2. What would the rest of the films have been without Hedwig's theme and the different variations you hear as the big WB logo? comes up. Nothing. You wouldn't know anything. It would be awful.
How did you feel when you heard that Richard Harris had died and that Michael Gambon was taking on the role of Dumbledore? Definitely sad.
So sad.
Yeah.
I loved Richard Harris.
Yeah.
I had a Dumbledore bookmark from the second film where he goes, "It's a school treat. All exams have been cancelled," which is what they should have done for my finals this December. But oh, he was so good, and he had the beard. The beard was perfect. I think he had the perfect beard for it. I think he had just the right sort of mystical, like, I'm so much older sort of.
And I know I'm so wise. I know so many things, and that's how he came off in the first couple books. I mean, we eventually find out that his life is not as like clean and simple as we sort of had the impression that it was. Well, Richard Harris wouldn't have been able to really embody the sort of more like hectic version of Dumbledore.
He wouldn't have been able to drink that poison, man.
Yeah, like that stuff that came up later. Michael Gambon definitely had more energy and was more ready to do it, but at the same time, it was never. Michael Gambon took it a little too far sometimes, and I think that had to do with the fact that he didn't really read the books. Mm-hmm. So he had his own version of the character, and yeah. If you were J.K. Rowling, how do you think you would feel about the movies? I mean, she's stated plenty of times.
This is a ridiculous question.
Yeah, she's stated many times how she feels about this sort of thing. And she's obviously, overall, she's wonderfully impressed with the world and the detail that they have created. But at the same time, she talks about and how they left certain things out and it kind of screwed them over later on. Yeah, coming back to Creature again.
Obviously, as an author, if you're going to sell the rights to the work that you've worked so hard on, you have to be okay with the fact that people are going to take it and they're going to change it. So if you're not okay with those changes from the get-go, you're not going to sell the rights. Mm-hmm. So obviously J.K. Rowling must have been alright with it on some level to let them do what they did.
How did you feel when Harry Potter ended? Sad. Yeah, yes, things stopped coming out, even though they haven't really stopped coming out because now we're going to have an expansion on the world with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. You know what? Honestly, we can't really say it's over.
I can't even honestly say there's a sense of closure. We're basically just waiting for the next big thing.
Yeah, whenever that may be.
Yeah.
Is there anything that has helped you fill the void since Harry Potter ended? No. Nothing can fill that void.
No.
You just read other books, and there's other fandoms.
Everything else is just a distraction. It's like the end of a relationship. Everything else is just a distraction. So you don't have to think about it anymore.
We're all fans of other things that we get into. You know, I marathon shows, I read other series and get really excited about them, but Harry Potter is its own thing that is never going to be replaced. So you can't really say that there's anything that has filled the void.
All of these people that put on the front of books, like New York Times calls this the next Harry Potter. Or the next Hunger Games. There's no next anything. Everything is different. Let's not do the apples to oranges bit, guys.
Yeah. Just accept the fact that nothing will quite, match up to that series.
Hank Green has a good song about that. I'm pretty sure it's called This Is Not Harry Potter. Check it out. It's off of Ellen Hardcastle. And with that, we're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Bye. Leaving. Forever. We'll never see our faces again.
Stop lying to that. You're so mean. This video has come to a close.
Bye.